Hey, good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yep, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today. Yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already, which, if you're not, I'm not sure what's wrong with you. Go ahead and rectify that problem immediately or sooner if you can. Subscribe to Uncle Lou. Watch Uncle Lou every day like you're supposed to. Yep, you already know it makes you smarter. And you should also be aware that watching Uncle Lou will lower your cholesterol, which will get you off of that Lipitor you're taking, which is killing you from the inside out. Anyway, final thoughts on this national championship game, Georgia versus Alabama. Before I get to that real quick, you know the trolls always win. The trolls are undefeated. So congratulations, hats off to the troll or group of trolls who mass flagged my Alabama versus Georgia pregame video, which was weird. You picked a weird one to flag. I mean, there wasn't even any trash talk in that video. That was just a legitimate football discussion live stream. But anyway, hats off and congratulations to the troll or group of trolls that mass flagged that video, got it taken down. Yep, and got Uncle Lou's live streaming ability revoked from YouTube for 2 weeks. Congratulations. Chalk another win up for the trolls. Of course, this is just the way YouTube works now with all these problems and issues YouTube has been having. A video or something gets mass flagged. Doesn't matter if it's a legit reason or not. YouTube just takes it down. So that's what happened. Of course, there's an appeal process. Uncle Lou appealed it. Now, the problem is with the appeal process, when it gets mass flagged, they take the video down immediately, they strike your channel immediately, and they take away your live streaming ability immediately. When you appeal it, they'll get around to looking at that appeal whenever they feel like it. So, of course, I wasn't able to live stream at halftime or at the end of the game on this channel. I had to do it on a backup channel. But anyway, of course Uncle Lou appealed. Of course Uncle Lou won the appeal. There was nothing wrong with that video that I did. They flagged it as spam or misleading title, or I forget exactly what the email said. But anyway, hats off to you guys. Good work. Keep up the good work. Helps keep me on my toes. Anyway, Georgia versus Alabama. My final thoughts on this game. No other way to describe it. I mean, this is a heartbreaking loss. I was devastated. Very few times on here am I at a loss for words, regardless of the situation, whether it's a recorded video like this or whether it's a live stream. You know, the Tennessee Hail Mary from a couple of years ago was brutal. Of course, that game didn't have nearly the meaning or significance that this game had. Didn't even come close. The closest I felt like that, like I felt Monday night, was probably the 2012 SEC championship game, also against Alabama, where Georgia, a very similar game actually. Georgia was leading that game by a couple of touchdowns in the second half. Alabama came back, took the lead. Georgia gets the ball with under a minute to go. Y'all know the story. They drive down the field. They get to the 4-yard line. They have to make a decision. Should they spike the ball and call a play, or should they run a hurry up? They decide to run the hurry up. Murray throws a sort of a corner pylon route. It gets deflected. And so instead of the ball going to the end zone, it goes to about the 4-yard line. Who was it that caught that? Was it Malcolm Mitchell? I can't even remember who it was that caught that. Get tackled, game over. Georgia came up 4 yards short. Now, that wasn't a national title game. That was a play-in game for the national title. The winner of that game was going on to the BCS championship that year to face Notre Dame. It ended up being Alabama. Of course, Alabama destroyed them. So in terms of just pure heartbreak, that's the closest, but nothing compares to Monday night. So for everyone who's been sitting around all year waiting on Uncle Lou to be heartbroken and devastated, shocked, I mean, on the verge of tears, there you go. You had to wait till the very last game of the year, but you finally got what you wanted. It was a brutal loss. There's no way to sugarcoat it. As far as my thoughts on the game itself, it went exactly like I thought it would go. I had no worry or concern at all about Jalen Hurts. I had some concern about whether Georgia would be able to move the ball on Alabama's defense. I had no concern at all about Jalen Hurts. And I know a lot of Alabama fans in the comment section were defending Jalen Hurts. And I could sit here and call you football ignorant and tell you I was right, Hurts is no good. But I'm not going to do that because I know that a lot of Alabama fans really already knew that. And it's hard to come on a video where somebody like me is trashing your team and agree with me. So I get that. So I don't blame you guys for supporting Hurts or anything like that. But, I mean, it's been obvious, I think, for a while now to anybody with a set of eyes that Jalen Hurts just wasn't a very good quarterback. Now, could he run the ball? Yeah, but Georgia has completely shut down running quarterbacks this year. I mean, Nick Fitzgerald, Wimbush from Notre Dame, a couple others that we played just had no success at all running the ball against Georgia's defense. So I just wasn't concerned about Alabama's offense. Now, obviously, I knew Tua was a good player. I knew he was better than Hurts. I even questioned whether Nick Saban was just hard-headed and trying to prove a point or something by winning with Hurts instead of Tua. I did not think Saban, as great as he is, would have the guts to pull Hurts in that game like he did and put Tua in. I did not see that coming at all. And it was pretty obvious that the Georgia defensive staff didn't think that was a possibility either. I don't care what they said after the game about having prepared for both or blah, blah. I don't believe that. I think they spent the entire week preparing for Hurts and his running ability, which is what they should have done, okay? Nick Saban is probably the only coach in the world that could have made that move like he did. He's probably the only coach that has enough capital or credit built up with, the fan base and everyone else to even try a move like that in a national championship game at halftime. Not only to go to a backup, but to a true freshman backup who really has had no meaningful snaps ever in his college career. He did play some this year, but it was mostly garbage time against bad teams. I mean, so hats off to Saban for taking that risk, and it paid off. Alabama came out in the second half, and they were a totally different team. It was a tale of two halves, really. Georgia completely dominated Alabama in the first half. There was nothing Alabama could do. Georgia was doing whatever they wanted to do. Flip it around to the second half, complete opposite. Georgia didn't do anything offensively and couldn't get off the field on defense, and Alabama was able to move up and down the field with Tua, who can also run the ball, but, no question the guy's got a legitimate arm to go along with the feet talent. As far as any of the controversies or whatever surrounding the game, were there missed calls or bad calls? Yes, obviously they were. My issue, and I don't think I've ever blamed a game on officiating or referees, but my issue with that is that there are bad calls or missed calls or whatever in every single game. What you have to realize, even with Georgia fans, which some still blaming the refs, fan is short for fanatic, and People tend to overreact, especially right after a brutal, heartbreaking loss like that in overtime, last play of the game, national championship game. I was probably guilty of that too. I was mad at the refs too. But calls are always missed, especially when you're talking about, complaining about missed holding calls and stuff like that. You could almost call holding on every single play in college and the NFL, almost. So it's got to really be something blatant for holding to get called. So that's the least of the concerns in my opinion is the holding. If I was going to point to anything from this game officiating wise, that I think even had the slightest bit of impact on the game, it would be the blocked punt play. Not necessarily just because that was a blown call, but because of the impact that a blocked punt can have on a game. Football games are games of momentum swings, back and forth games. And this game was no different. Georgia caught some momentum early in the first half and rode it to halftime. Alabama caught some momentum about midway through the third quarter and rode that through the overtime period. But if you look at the start of the second half, Tua comes out, and we actually hold Alabama to 3-and-out on Tua's first series. We get the ball, don't do much with it. Alabama gets the ball back. They go to punt again, and that's when the blocked punt occurred. Now, it's possible that could have changed the outcome of the game, but it doesn't mean that it would have changed the outcome of the game. And I'm not blaming the loss on that one particular play. I'm just saying, of all the complaining and everything that's going on about the officiating, to me, that was the only one that even had really the ability to affect or alter the game in any type of way. And not just because it would have gave Georgia the football down there by, almost in the red zone practically already, guaranteed to score some amount of points, even if it's just a field goal, but because of the momentum effect that a play like that can have on a game. Now, the reverse of that, or not the reverse, but something that Alabama did that I think really turned the page and set this game up for what eventually happened. The next time Alabama had the ball, same thing. We hold them on first and second down. We get them in a 3rd and long. I believe it was 3rd and 12. Tua drops back to pass. He's under some pressure. 3 or 4 Georgia defenders had an opportunity to tackle this guy in the backfield. They run into each other, basically. Tua slips a couple of tackles, breaks another tackle, scurries around the left side of the field for whatever it was, a 25 or 30-yard gain. They end up getting a first down there. They go down and score, and it was over from there, pretty much. That was only Alabama's first touchdown, so I don't mean the game was over. What I mean is that was a momentum swing in Alabama's favor. Right? If you would have got held to a 3-and-out and a punt again in that situation, then different things could have happened. But Tua made a great play around the left side. That had nothing to do with officials or officiating. That was Tua Tagovailoa making a play when Alabama absolutely had to have a play. And so there's no one else you can blame for that. You can't blame the officials. You can't blame, coaching. You can't blame conservative play calling in the second half. There's literally nothing you can blame for that other than Alabama's player making a better play on that play than Georgia's defense could make. That's it. All credit to Alabama for that play. That was the momentum play of the second half, in my opinion, other than the blocked punt that wasn't a blocked punt. Fast forward to overtime. I never like getting the ball first in overtime. Nobody does. If you know football strategy, you obviously want to have the ball second in overtime, so you know what you have to do based on what the other team did. Did they kick a field goal? Did they score? Did they go for 1? Did they go for 2? Whatever. When we kicked the field goal right there in the first overtime, and Alabama got the ball, I knew right away, and I think I even said it on the live stream, Alabama will be going for it. I mean, this game is either going to end right. I said this is going to be the last drive because Alabama's not sending that field goal kicker back out there. There's no way. I don't care if they get to the 5-yard line. They're not sending that field goal kicker back out there. So I knew that game was going to end on that possession with Alabama having the ball. Either they were going to have a turnover on downs, because they were going to go for it on 4th down, or they were going to score a touchdown. I didn't think it was going to be a touchdown on the second play, though. Obviously, a huge breakdown in the defensive backfield on that play. 2nd and 26. They don't have a field goal kicker. You have to assume they're going to either, it was awful. It was awful. Perfect pass by Tua. Great catch by a freshman wide receiver there to win the game. But just a complete breakdown in coverage on that entire side of the field by the UGA secondary. Hats off to Tua for looking off Sanders to safety there, moving him over to the right side of the field, and then coming back and making the throw to the left side of the field. Malcolm Parrish burnt like toast, like he was all game long. It was obvious. Whoever was the quarterback for Alabama, whether it was Hurts or Tua, was coming up to the line. They were finding Malcolm Parrish, and that's where they were throwing the ball. And I don't blame him. I'm not going to talk bad about any Georgia players on this video today, but he was the weak link in the secondary for sure, without question. I really don't think anybody would argue that. There's been some criticism of the Georgia coaching staff, particularly in the second half. Too conservative, took our foot off the gas, not going for the kill, all this kind of stuff. That's obvious now, looking back at how the game unfolded, that yes, we should have been more aggressive in the second half. The problem is, our game plan all year has been to get a lead, pound a rock, and win the game. and it's worked. And so they tried it. You know, that's what they did in the second half. Now, hindsight is always 20/20, and I found myself yelling at the TV on several occasions in the second half, wondering why Nick Chubb was running up the middle for the 10th time. It was pretty obvious to me that Sony had it and Chubb didn't in the title game. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think it's the style of runner that those are. Chubb is the style of runner. He's a pound-it type of guy. Well, Alabama's defense is designed to stop that. It's very hard to pound it up the middle on Alabama. I think, Sony's quickness and elusiveness gave him an advantage in this game over Chubb, and the stats of the game bear that out. If you look at the yards per carry, and even if you just watched the game, it was pretty obvious that Sony was having more success running the ball than Chubb was, but we pretty much went away from Sony altogether in the second half. Passing game went away. Now, hindsight's 20/20, though. You come out in the third quarter throwing the ball like we did in the first half, and Fromm throws an interception or two, or we go 3 and out or whatever. Then you got fans screaming, "Well, we're up, we're up 20-7 or whatever it was, and idiot Chaney's throwing the ball, and we've got the best running backs in America. We should be running the ball." So it's hard for me. The bottom line about this game is, anytime you lose a heartbreaking game by 3 points like this in overtime, there's going to be a ton of things you can point to and say, if we'd have done that different, or this, or that, or this, or that, or that would have happened, or this would have happened. I mean, any game you lose by 3 points, there's going to be 5, 10, a dozen, 20, 25 things that you can point to and say, well, if that didn't happen, we would have won, or if we didn't do this, we would have won, or we should have done this instead of that, and then we could have won. That's always going to be the case when you lose a game on the last play of the game by 3 points. Always. The reality of the situation is, and in my overall opinion of this game, these were two pretty evenly matched teams. Georgia won the first half. Alabama won the second half. We went to overtime, and Alabama made a play when they had to, and Georgia couldn't stop it. That's what it came down to. I'm not blaming the refs. I'm not blaming play calling. I'm not blaming Malcolm Parrish. I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, somebody has to lose sometimes, right? If Alabama kicks a field goal there to tie it up, and we play another overtime, and the exact opposite thing happens, and Georgia wins on the last second, does it mean Alabama's no good? No, somebody was going to make a play at the end of that game and win, and that's what happened. So, congrats to Alabama, 2017 college football national champions. You people in the comments and everywhere else saying that UCF is a national champions, I really wish you could see how stupid you look from the point of view of rational, insane people like myself and most other college football fans. You sound like a salty, butthurt idiot trying to proclaim a team like UCF as national champions. The best win UCF had all year against a Power 5 team was against Maryland. So let that sink in, okay? If UCF was in any of the Power 5 conferences, they would have won 7 games. It's just that simple, okay? Doesn't matter that they beat Auburn once with 30 days to prepare. They would not have beat Auburn in September and then beat Alabama and then beat LSU and then beat Texas A&M and then beat Georgia and then beat Mississippi State and then beat Florida. You get what I'm saying. It wouldn't have happened. Everyone knows that, so just quit doing it. It's mainly Auburn fans just because they like to needle Alabama. Look, just because a team goes undefeated doesn't automatically make them champions, right, Auburn? 2004, weren't you undefeated and not a champion? Oh, yeah, sorry about that. My finger hit the button, turn it off. Anyway, in 2010, when Auburn did win the national title, guess what? There was another undefeated Power 5 team, TCU, undefeated. So I guess TCU is the real 2010 champions, not Auburn. Anyway, you see how stupid this sounds. Nobody's buying this, UCF. Congrats, Alabama. You guys were the better team. You guys won. Congrats to all the Alabama fans in the UNCLELOU comment section. Most of you guys are good sports. I rode you guys all year long. I just had a feeling, I've told you this, I just had a feeling it was going to be Georgia and Alabama in the SEC title game this year. That was the reason I sort of poked and prodded Alabama all year long so that we could have fun during that SEC championship game week. That didn't work out, but it worked out in the national title game. So I had a good time going back and forth with you guys. I hope none of it, well, it's obvious from the comment section that a lot of you took it way too seriously. But to the ones that get it, I had a great time going back and forth with all the fans this year, not just Alabama, all the fans this year. But congratulations, Alabama fans. You guys did it again. 2017 national champions, 5 titles in the last 9 years. Unbelievable. In my opinion, it's the greatest dynasty in the history of sports. I think it's better than anything the Yankees have ever done, better than anything the Chicago Bulls have ever done, better than anything the Lakers have ever done, better than anything the New England Patriots are doing now. To dominate the way Alabama has in today's college football in the toughest conference in America, you can argue whether SEC was the toughest this year or last year or whatever. But overall, over the last 10 years, what's been the best conference? SEC, you can't deny that. And Alabama's completely dominated. Greatest coach of all time, Nick Saban. So hats off. Congratulations to all the Alabama fans. Like I said, the ones of you that get it, salute. Stick around. The ones of you that don't get it, you should stick around too. Eventually you'll catch on. Tennessee fans started out this way too. Now the majority of them understand and get it and have learned to laugh. Some of you Alabama fans should consider that too. But congratulations. Listen, just because the season's over, Uncle Lou not going anywhere. You already know that. Videos every day. Y'all stick around. We'll have a good off season. Lots of stuff on recruiting coming up. Then we'll jump into spring practice. I'm going to be doing the NCAA live streams on the Xbox 360, NCAA 14 with current updated rosters. So a couple of ideas for that that I got from you guys. Losers bracket tournament we'll do. The worst 4 teams in America tournament that we'll do, which is going to feature Tennessee, Baylor, Kansas, and Rutgers, I think we decided. Anyway, it'll be a lot of fun. So y'all stick around. Thanks for watching all year. I will see you guys tomorrow, and have a great morning.